for cold, hard sports talk with your hosts, Ty Gore, Matt Barrett, and Jake Woods.
All right, guys, we are here now with our guest, SNorri Sigurbergsson, former goalie for the Icelandic national team. Now, just to be clear, first question I got to ask, Iceland is the green one, right?
Yeah, correct.
Is that the whole switcheroo there?
Yeah, what's the saying in the Mighty Ducks too, that Iceland is very nice. Can't remember the full right now, but...
Well, I was going to ask it later, but we got into it early. I want to ask what it's like growing up in Iceland. You were born in 92. 2 years later, one of the most iconic hockey movies of all time came out, D2, The Mighty Ducks, where America's favorite hockey team goes and plays in the Junior Goodwill Games. And the bad guys in that movie, led by Gunnar Stahl, was Team Iceland. What's it like being a young hockey player in Iceland and watching your country be the bad guys in a famous hockey movie?
First of all, I didn't see the movie until, I'm guessing, 23, 24, I'm thinking. So I didn't grow up with it, really. I saw it pretty late. But, I mean, in every hockey camp in Iceland, when we had a theater session, we watched that movie instead.
Well, what were your thoughts watching it for the first time even then?
Oof, I can't even remember it. I mean, I just watched it all the day with my other coach, and we had a big laugh about it and how old it is and how bad it actually is when you think about it. But
Thank you. I've debated with Gorzy many times about whether Mighty Ducks is actually a good movie or not. We are on drastically different sides there. I'm very Mighty Ducks is a horribly made movie. Like having a goalie skate to center ice, take off his helmet, then take a slap shot to score a goal. Absolutely bonkers.
I will back that up and say it's a terribly made movie, but it really warms your heart. And now if you're on the Icelandic side for D2, maybe not as much, but really gets the feels going.
Next thing we wanted to ask is just in general, what's hockey like in Iceland? Is there like big youth programs for it? Is it something that has like local support?
So in Iceland, we only have 3 teams and 3 rinks. It's like the sport for now is a pretty young sport because we didn't have an indoor rink until I think 1998 or 99. So, but like one of the oldest teams is one of the oldest clubs in Iceland. I think the oldest club is around 110, 20 years maybe. So, and only 3 teams, 3 rinks. So that means every men's team have 20 players, and most of those players are under 20 players too. So, and like right now, it's pretty hard to say since I haven't been in Iceland in so long time and haven't been following hockey, and it's pretty bad. Sorry to say that. But,
so how'd you get into hockey as a kid with it just being so new to the country?
So I grew up in Sweden, actually.
Okay.
So in 94, me and my family moved over, and my best friend here played hockey, and I wanted to be with him, so I started too, and I got my cousin involved, and so I kept going. And then in 2002 we moved back there to Iceland, and I always wanted to stay with hockey and kept on going. So yeah, that's actually the full story. And then I always loved this sport and wanted to keep going in it. Now I'm back in Sweden to
So I'm not sure if it's an international stereotype, but I know it is here. And speaking from a goalie myself, it's known in North America that goalies are usually the ones on the teams that have a screw or two loose, that are the crazy ones who are willing to dive in front of the pucks. Was that something like drove you to be a goalie from the start? Was it always like your desire? Or was it something like you played a couple of years as a skater and then became a goalie later?
No, actually, for most goalies, it's the gear that attracted me to the position, and like also being the hero or the bad guy in it somehow. And when I moved to Iceland, we didn't have a goalie in my team, so why not keep on going? I love playing here in Sweden, so I just kept going with it. Like here in Sweden, my first year, we didn't even have a gear, so we played only 3-on-3 or 4-on-4 on 1/3 of the ice, and we only had a stick and a catching glove. So when the whistle blew at the change, we just threw off the glove, put another glove in, and played like that for 3 years, I think.
No way. That's why. Just.
That's truly insane. That's truly, not to bring it back to Mighty Ducks, but that looks like what the Mighty Ducks were playing with in the first one when they're on the outdoor rink, and Goldberg has the whole mangled set of vintage goalie gear on.
The baseball glove, right?
Next thing I wanted to ask about was over your career, you represented Iceland a ton of times at international tournaments. Do you remember what it was like getting the first call to go represent your country like that?
So my first year with the U18 team, no, that wasn't really a surprise at all, since we weren't that many goalies. And at the end of it, like when I got to the men's team, it wasn't even a surprise there because, like I said, few goalies, and we only had so we had a Swedish guy, Icelandic Swedish guy, what you would call it. And he was the main goalie for so many years. And so most of the goalies just gave up on it. Why skip, since we aren't professionals, we aren't getting paid for it. For many years, I had to pay the trips by myself. So why spend money on going overseas to sit on a bench and do nothing, essentially. But for me, growing up in Sweden, it's always the national team was the biggest thing, so that's why I kept going and always wanted to be there. And unfortunately, I got fortunate enough that when I got to the men's team, we didn't have to pay for trips anymore. So that was just a good thing for me to get out of school to go with the national team to Turkey, Estonia, Spain. Oof, so many trips there. So,
what do you think was the coolest place you went to representing the team?
The coolest thing is probably in the season of 2011, 2012 with the U20 team, went to New Zealand. Was just amazing trip there, long flight with the boys and just a lot of fun all around. Winning the goal, so that helped a lot.
Yeah, beautiful place. From everything we've heard and seen here, New Zealand, absolutely beautiful place. Another country that's on the uprise when it comes to hockey, and Australia as well. Do any of those tournaments have a particular fondness for you, or from an on ice aspect where it really stands out in your memory?
Has to be the New Zealand again, almost, just because of being there, won the gold medal. So that was fun. With the men's team, of course, the first cap of my first game with it was. I'll just all remember that. Getting hit by a Croatian guy weighing 120 kilos and just going over me. So, and my last year with the national team, going to Mexico City, that was a pretty decent trip too. And played my last national team game there and won the game. So we won the silver. So that was pretty nice. And
we've definitely heard
really
some stories about the Mexico City tournaments. We talked to a member of the Australian national team who had some tournaments there, and we hear the fans there are just truly insane when it comes to watching their country play.
I didn't really notice that much. The only thing we noticed more was just because we played in a mall for some reason, and the ice was so terrible. And it was full of people there, but the ice was so wet because of the heat, so it was terrible and couldn't breathe just because of the altitude and so on. But can't really say that the fans was crazy though.
Was there seating around the rink, or was it just a rink in the middle of a shopping center with stores around it?
No, so seating on the one of the side, then build up some scaffolding on the other side to stand or sit, and then they were just standing around on the other side there.
Unreal setup for a world championship game.
So people just going through with shopping bags, and saw a game there.
I'm literally picturing West Edmonton Mall with the rink just smack dab in the middle of the mall for like the brick tournament where you have people just standing around, they're shopping around. That's what I'm picturing right now.
I can just picture it now. Guy coming in on a breakaway, game on the line, standing right behind the crease is just a dad in shorts eating a Cinnabon.
Yeah.
So you played some hockey. You went back in the 2014-2015 season. You went back to Sweden and started playing there. What led to you leaving Iceland, going back to Sweden?
So when we moved back to Iceland, I always said to myself, I'm going back to Sweden to play hockey, no matter what. So I did that 2011-2012 for the U20 team here in Sweden. And then the year 2014, I met my wife, and she wanted to go to school in Sweden. And so I said, yeah, hey, why not? I want to play hockey in Sweden. So I just sent a bunch of mails to every team in what those division I thought I could play in, and one team accepted me. And so, yeah, that's the history about it.
Can you give us a little bit of your pitch? Can you let us know like what you were saying for like why they should sign you?
What was it now again? So many years ago, but I was talking about the national team, won everything with it, bronze, silver, gold, playing senior hockey since I was 13 years old and training with it since I was 12. So that was a big pitch for me, and trying to tell me I lived in Sweden before, so I know Swedish and I'm pretty quick to adapt to new situations and so on. And unfortunately, my then national team coach knew the coach in the team I joined, so I got some good reference there.
Was there any, because like us from Canada, we don't really know the ins and outs. Is there any major culture changes from Iceland to Sweden?
You're probably asking the wrong person about it. I always wanted to go back to Sweden and grew up here. So no, but I think Sweden is just bigger Iceland eventually. Like, we're bigger, of course. Iceland, we only have one called city, Reykjavik. Then you're just a lot of small towns. And Sweden, of course, is a lot bigger country, much more people, but essentially it's the same. It's the same, I think. Maybe Iceland is more going through like being closer to the US, but in culturally. But I think I'm not that big of a difference. It's a lot of people from Iceland coming over here to study and so on, and most of them kept staying for a couple of years. So
you were kind of talking about playing, senior in Iceland, playing kind of like men's teams because there just aren't that many teams. You started playing at like 13 with those teams. Do you think that kind of was a big help for you to, like, I guess, be able to play at the next level because you'd been playing against those guys for so long already?
Yeah, I would think so. That definitely helped me a lot. At least getting into getting into the culture quickly and so on, just because, used to it. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you're playing men all the time instead of playing guys in your age group, right? That's kind of it's kind of good that way.
Yeah, but at the same time, lots of my friends are the same age as me. They started playing with the men's team too, so shows more or less how bad the men's team in my club in Iceland was.
Now I wanted to ask too, just because I feel goaltending is a very tough position in sports to kind of pick up without help from someone else. Like, I figure goalies really rely on the coaches around them to help them grow. Did you have any, goalie coaches or anyone like growing up who like helped you develop as a goalie, or is it more or less kind of self-taught?
More or less self-taught. I think we had someone that called them a goalie coach, but that was really temporary. Sometimes once a month, nothing. And that was just more, he was on the ice with us with the drills, and nothing that, like, the men's team goalie never went down to coach us, really. At least I can't really remember that. So, I mean, the only goalie coaching I got was YouTube and going to camps over in Sweden. That was like the biggest thing I can do for my development.
Is there anything about your like training specifically that you remember, like things you found that like was there people you looked at to like try and study and imitate, or did you just, like you said, kind of like find drills on YouTube that you thought would make you better? Or like, what was your process like trying to develop yourself without a real goalie coach?
I was watching the men's team a lot, the men's goalies. That was like the biggest thing, and I can't really say I was looking for many drills on YouTube when I was that young. It was more just watching highlights and trying to my favorite goal of all time is Patrick Raw, so trying to be him, of course. Then later on came Lundqvist, trying to be him, and so on. And so it was more like imitating my favorite goalies, more or less.
Now, Gorzy noticed a fun stat for one team you played on during your time in Sweden. Gorzy, you want to take it?
So I want to talk about your 2015-16 season. You played with Nortage. I unfortunately don't know the Swedish language.
Hold up, here, quick game. All three of us say our best guess of the pronunciation, and SNorri will tell us who's closest.
2016-17, we're saying?
15-16.
15-16, okay.
Oh, yeah.
My guess is
he played.
Nortai?
I'm going to go Nortali. Gorzy?
No.
I'm going to go Nortalje.
Were any of us remotely?
Which is the closest. Which is the closest, but still wrong.
Can you give us the proper pronunciation there?
Norrtälje.
Okay, I thought it'd be. I took a stab in the dark at the end there, but anyway, Gorzy, continue with your question now that we know where he was playing.
So that season, it looked like it was a chaotic season for the team itself, but you performed rather admirably. With a 418 goals against average, 880 save percentage. Both were best on the team for goalies, but that team had 7 different goalies on the roster at one point. Can you just talk about what that year was like for you being on that roster?
We are talking about 15-16, or?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the beginning there, I started in Norway, playing there. That in itself was pretty chaotic for me since first time lived in Sweden for 1 year, went to Norway there, and there the club didn't really do what they told me they was going to do. So at the beginning I thought they were going to find me an apartment and a job, and I would just have to pay the apartment like that. But like 2 weeks before I'm moving out there, I got a message and just, here's a link, look at apartments yourself and figure it out. I'm like, okay. Then I got there and lived in a summer house with 3 other players, and then we lived in just too much to tell them on. It's just can't really go through it. And so there in Norway they had a rule that they only can have, I think it's only 7 imports. So most teams have either 7 players or 6 players or 1 goalie. So my team started off with me and another Norwegian guy. And in December, they decided to take in another import, and without talking to me and anything. And so I decided to, hey, screw this. And if you ain't going to talk to me, I will just leave. And so that was happened in December. I went home to Iceland and was just working on that, and got to Sweden and went to try out with another team in the same division as Norrtälje. And they didn't want me, and so I rang Norrtälje and they said, yeah, just come and practice with us and let's see. And so I really never knew that they have 7 goalies in the team. I only knew me and my other goalie companion there. So when I got there, they were already last in the division, and think it's only like 9 or 10 games left, and we really have to win everything, and the other teams have to lose so we can be clear of the regulation. So, and that obviously didn't happen. So, that's the story about it.
I guess one question we wanted to ask is about the Olympic qualifying back in 2015, 2016 against teams like Estonia, Bulgaria, Serbia, Spain. You go down the list of just these different countries that you played against. What was that experience like to play, in an Olympic qualifier like that?
For me, it didn't really like that was the first tournament. I was the main goalie at least, so that was different for me. But in the end, it didn't feel anything. It wasn't that different from the World Championship. It was tight days, tight games. Like it was just we went to practice like either 3 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the night, and then go to the hotel, sleep, and a game again. It wasn't really that much of a difference. We had one day off, went into Madrid, saw the big football stadium there, and so it wasn't really that of a it wasn't that spectacular as you would hope it would.
Do you remember who ended up winning?
Serbia won it. Yeah, so we played Serbia. We lost that, I think, 4-3 or 5-4. We lost to Spain too. Yeah, we lost to Spain, and that was what I think we lost. Oh, I can't remember. It was again 4-3, and then we won China like 10-1, I think, and I didn't play that game. So
were all the games actually held in arenas? No more shopping mall games this time?
Yeah, actually an arena this time.
Was there any sort of like pressure because it was an Olympic qualifier? Was there like a lot of pressure for it, or not really?
No, not really. It was the first time I ever went to a qualification, so we didn't really know what to expect. And so, of course, we knew we went into a tournament to win it. But at the end of it was the first time we had a new national team coach that year. First time he was meeting the team. So we didn't have any practices before. We had one practice before the first game, I think, maybe 2 practices. And then, went on going. So, like, the hopes weren't that big, I think.
So you recently wrapped up your playing career in 2019-20, and you spent one season coaching in the Junior 20 League, and now you're coaching in the Swedish Women's League. What really inspired you to get into coaching?
So just correction there, I'm not stopped playing, just paused my career. So in Iceland, it's all began there, actually. So in Iceland, we have to pay to play, of course, like in so many states and places. And so instead of paying that, I just got into coaching. So that's how it built up. And then my school, I went to a sporting line, and they were also talking about coaching and how to train and so on. That always was a big thing for me. And here in Sweden, so when moving here, I thought, okay, I'm just going to take a break on that. But at the end of it, I went back to school and started coaching again. I thought it was fun. And so the last, I think, 3 years of my playing career, I actually coached a team in my club too. So just U15, U14 guys, and I thought it was fine. And then I wrapped up school and thought, okay, my hockey career isn't getting anywhere big. I mean, I'm not getting paid to play and so on, and always trying to find a new club after every season. I was tired of that, and like on my elite prospect, you can see that I didn't play that many games the last 3 years. With my last season, didn't play one game. So then I just started coaching, got some money for that, and that's my dream job right now.
Was it another thing, like you said before, where you just kind of reached out to a bunch of teams, kind of sent some flyers out and saw what offers came back, or did you have any connections that kind of got you the job landed?
No, so when I went to the U20 team there, I just messaged the guy and asked, hey, I'm doing this, and my university degree is soon done, and so I really want to coach on a higher level than I've been doing before. So, and that helped me a lot, I think. Then with the team I'm in right now, it was the same thing. I messaged the guy actually the same year as I went to the U20 team, and I got a job offer, but the U20 team I thought at that time was more exciting job at least, but then it wasn't really. So my mistake there, but at the same time, I'm not the same coach then as I'm now, I think I'm a better coach right now. So I'm pretty happy with how everything ended up. Mm-hmm. So now I'm pretty good spot, and I'm happy I changed team. So we finishing the season at least. So that was a good thing.
One of the last things we'd like to ask here is just looking back on your career so far, still continuing. What's the highlight been up until this point?
Oof. Can't really choose a highlight from it. It was I have to look up myself for my elite prospect. It's embarrassing. I think the playoff series in 2012, 2013 in Iceland. So then I'm 17 years old. First time the team, I think it's the first time. Not to think actually. It's the first time I ever went to the playoffs. And so game number 3 is televised on the biggest station in Iceland. So got to play in that. It went to penalties. Saved every penalty, and that was the pretty big thing. I was 17 years old, 17 at least.
Any big nerves before the game? Get the butterflies in the stomach? Yeah,
of course. It was like the reporter actually asked me the same question. I said, just very stupid, of course.
As a goalie, like you mentioned, like the butterflies before the game, but as Jake will testify to this, he said earlier, goalies sometimes have a little bit of a loose nut once in a while. Were you a goalie that did anything weird before games, like any rituals or anything like that were a little strange?
You're asking the wrong guy. I thought everything was pretty normal. No, I think, when I was younger, it was pretty much I wanted to do my own thing and so on. But when I got older and older, I didn't really care about it anymore. And like for now, I hate warm-ups. I just want to 3 shots on me and save them, and then I just want to go. So, and I know that's the wrong thing to do, but that's how I work at least.
Hey, whatever works, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I always thought the defender for the stupid ones, since I have all the gear on me, and they are still trying to block shots. So.
Well, Snorri, we appreciate you taking the time to come and talk to us. It was a fun interview, learning more about an area of the game where we really had no previous knowledge. It was a blast talking to you, and we're definitely going to be following along with your career going forward. Thanks again for coming on, and best of luck moving forward.
Thank you for having me. Have a nice night.
Yeah, you as well.
Bye.